Hi everyone. Alright, so the second part of this video on making the toy plane, I'm going to put the wheels inside the wings. I'm going to use sort of the kind of roundel stroke marking as the basis for folding the wheels out, and then I'll show you the rest as well, the tail fin and the elevators. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the wing sketch. In fact, let's just name this as wings so it's easy to find. Sketch, edit, and I'm going to have to simplify this compared to what I'd started off as. That didn't work. Alright, so I'm going to just put in a circle, indicate a roundel, and let's give that some dimensions. 18 is good. Position it. I might want to change things a bit, and from there to there, 11.5. And then I just need a bit of a flat end, so I'm going to do something like this. So it's not quite going to be a roundel, but it'll be good enough for this exercise. So let's just give that an angle, 4 degrees. Yeah, I think that's going to be sufficient. Let's get rid of these two. There we go. Okay, so it's like a teardrop stroke angle. I want to copy that across, so let's just select chain and mirror about this line. So there's an advantage to drawing the line, and then just select this one and say make it for construction, exit, go into the second sketch. Is it that one? Yes, under wings, and then just grab this and that and that and exit. Okay, so here we go. What I need here is a little bit of a small edge flange. So I'm going to just drag this out, which I'm going to leave as is. It's much easier to change this via the sketch rather than edit the flange, edit the sketch, go normal to. So once again, I need to pull these in by 0.5 mil. So we just need to find that point to there. 0.5, did I say? 0.5. And, well, actually, let's make that one 0.5, and this one we can drag in a bit more, so we can make it like 2 mil or something like that. All right, and then let's just put a kind of a wheel in here. That's going to be too big or too long. Okay, so what I need to be careful of here is that the size of this sketch doesn't exceed that bit, but I can test that later on, so it's not a problem. So this is going to have to be a lot bigger, 3 mil, and that's looking approximately right. Let's position it, 9, and I think here it's going to be easier if I just get that point to link to this one. There we go. So that is vertical, and that sits on that like that. What are we missing? Oh, we're missing a dimension for that one, 11. Okay, so then drag this up and slice it away like that. There we go. And then, so I would normally put some fillets in there. Oh, one thing to add, just to give it a bit of a grounding, you can see this shape of my wheel taking place, but normally wheels have got like a little bit of a flat bottom to them. So I'm just going to give that a shape, slice this away, dimension that relative to there, give it a height, 5, and give this an angle, which we can change later on. Could do that, or might be just as easy as if you went from that point to this point, and then instead of the angle, we just get these two to line up by going make collinear. And then all you need to do is control the width of this, so we can make this smaller, bigger. Ooh, that didn't work. Drag that out. It did. Oh, okay, yes, sorry, I'm wrong about that. We can't use 5mm. This is no good because that controls. No, that should work. Okay, so that just needs to be located on that point. Then we can still use. No, we can't. That's all we need. Okay, so that's kind of aiming like this is going to sit, that's going to sit nice and flat against the floor. There it is. And let's just see, before we do the next one, whether that does what we want it to do. So let's just do an unfold. Oh, no, we don't need to do that. We can just flatten this. Just make sure that your bar allows flatten. And you can see, there we go, it's interrupting with that. So I need to move this wheel back a little bit. I can make it taller, but I need to be careful of what's happening there. So unflatten. You can pretty much do this with an actual dimension. So there we go, that needs to come back a bit. And we could probably make this a little bit taller and still squeeze things in, can we? Let's go flatten, see what happens. It's just touching, so that height is obviously just too high, so let's make that 10. Let's see if that does it. Flatten. Bingo. Okay, so it's a little bit tight. I would make it less than that, but just to show you the principle. So once we've got the one wheel in, it's not a problem to just echo that. In fact, that's what I'm going to do with both of these. Okay, so let's just put this edge flange in. Right click, edge flange, put this in here. So just make sure that it is material inside. This could be bend outside, it doesn't really matter. Make sure the relief type is selected. And in fact, I'm going to make these aim up a little bit. So let's see if we can get that to work. 85. Other way. So 95. There you go. So it's got a bit of an upwards tilt, maybe 100. Make it a bit sassier. Okay, so that's my edge flange. You can see it's interfering. Just go to this edit sketch. Just drag these out. Okay, and I think because of the way this thing works, it's going to need these little ends. So even if I put in this baby here, if I didn't have those little bits, it's not going to work in this case. So let's just make that construction. Yeah, I'm sure we can make this a little bit more interesting. Let's get a style spline going. Yeah, I'm going to leave it like that. And all we need is a few dimensions. So we want the width of this, 22, and the distance from there to there, in case we need to change anything. And I think that's enough. All right, so exit that. Okay, there we go. So we've got one wing. Yeah, not quite right. Good thing I put this in. Make it more toy-like. Maybe make this little wings. There we go. That's perhaps better. And also it's way too big. Okay, let's leave that as it is. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to mirror those two items, find the right plane, mirror. So 1, 2, will that do it? Yes, it will. Okay, so we're kind of sorted. not looking as I would want to, but I mean, this is more about learning how to do this than the actual thing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get this tail plane to sit right next to the cockpit. So instead of it coming out, because what I could do is I could put a sketch on this plane like this, and I could just do something like this. The problem with this is I'd have to make this sort of work, I'd have to make the sketch kind of half a bit like that. And then we've got this sort of slightly delicate piece sticking out, which we don't really want. So base flange, link to thickness, that's 1 mil. Okay, so from there I would then bend this up and create the tail plane. Not really the best way of doing things, I don't think. So let's instead delete that together with its sketch. And let's do something different. So I'm going to use this hem tool. So the hem tool allows you to create what's called a hem. You'll see what that is in a moment. It's just folding over. And I'm going to use this first one, which is the sort of flattened one. And the length we can make about 18. We'll see if that works. So it's this edge here, and it's going to fold that over. You can see what it's done there. Custom relief type. Yeah, let's leave it as a tear, a straight tear. That's good enough. 18's perhaps 20 would be a bit better. There we go. Okay. And then you can just use this edge here to bend up an edge flange like that. And then I would use that edge flange sketch to quickly draw a tail of some sort. So style spline starting from here. Let's bring that down. Okay, good enough for now. It's the idea that counts in this case. Get rid of that. Put a little bit of a fillet in here of say 2 mil, see if that'll work. 2 or 3 mil. 4, 5. Didn't like that, so it has to be 2. Okay, so there we go. We've got the tail, and you can now shorten this if you want to. You can get this this to come inside. So if you go to that edge flange, you say I want material inside, and then just make sure that you have the custom relief type that'll give it all brown on the inside. Should work. Not quite, but it's good enough. Okay, so there's the tail. Okay, and then lastly, just to add some fillets in here, just to make this rounded off. There we go. That looks much better. Sort of 8mm or something. And you can do the same at the back. So 4, 5. Okay, there we go. Happy modeling. Cheers.